What do you want from the shop?
Cornetto. That's today's topic of discussion. Be there.
Alright, Dr. Freako. It's just for a while. It's just for a while. You better sort this out.
Just one cornetto, give it to me. Delicious ice cream, oh Italy. Delight and joke a dream. Give me cornetto, the world's ice cream.
Hello and welcome to the second horror talk of this month. So, as I thought there's more free time and that, and because Triple Threat is only every other month, I thought I would do a second horror talk. Now, the first one this month, which was on the horrors of Stephen King, that was voted by the Horror Amino community. And this one, it's a personal choice of mine, because I put it in the poll. Me and another guy were the only two that voted for it. And I thought, I'll do the Cornetto Trilogy. So here we are, this week's, the second horror talk of this month, the Three Flavours Cornetto Trilogy, or also known as the Cornetto Trilogy. Written by Edger Wright and Simon Pegg, and directed by Edgar Wright. All three films are. Starring regulars Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. A comedic duo that have been together since the sitcom Spaced. They then made, a Three Flavours Cornetto Trilogy. Now, all the films have different stories to them all, and different themes and feel. And they are Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. But they all feature a cameo from a certain treat product that is the Cornetto. Yes, which is referenced in all three films. Let's start from where it began. So it all started in 2004 with Shaun of the Dead. A zomcom apocalyptic romance horror, where our main character Shaun, played by Simon Pegg, is pretty much down on his luck. He's not been attentive or as committed with his girlfriend Liz, played by Kate Ashfield. This film also stars Lucy Davis, Dylan Moran, Penelope Wilton, and Bill Nighy. So this one, it's like, Shaun's not been the best of boyfriends, and she dumps him, and he's feeling a bit down. So his mate Ed, played by Nick Frost, decides to cheer him up by, having a lock-in at the pub and just enjoying life and not dwelling on it all. And of course, this is where a zombie apocalypse also breaks out in the streets of London. Now, at first, it's funny because Shaun and Ed are like completely oblivious to this whole thing. Even in the beginning, like when Shaun's just walking through the neighbourhood and goes into the shop. As he goes to the shop, he asks Ed. But while he's asleep, he says, "What do you want from the shop?" And he just says, as he's asleep, "Cornetto." And that's the first one, the Cornetto. So he goes into the shop, gets a newspaper, and gets a Cornetto, and the shopkeeper is nowhere to be seen. But if you look carefully, when Shaun opens the fridge to get a cold drink, there's a blood handprint on the glass door, which he doesn't notice. But also, if you look carefully in the background, you will see a zombie Nelson staggering. That's the shopkeeper's name. So yeah, this Sean is a bit of a a loser. He has a dead end job and that. Then there's his mum, played by Penelope Wilton, and then he has his stepdad Philip, played by Bill Nighy. And then next thing, they're watching the news, and then all of a sudden it's like a zombie outbreak is happening. A zombie apocalypse, and they're all just processing it. At first they think that it's a really drunk, intoxicated woman in Shaun of the Dead, but yeah, then there's zombies. Now the title Shaun of the Dead, of course, is very much referencing Dawn of the Dead. I'm pretty sure that it was intended to be a spoof or something, but I don't think it was. So yeah, basically, Sean and Ed both think that the safest place to be is their local pub, the Winchester, and they they traipse through big obstacles with his girlfriend Liz and her friends and his mother. Of course, his stepdad already gets turned into a zombie, Philip, played by Bill Nighy. So yeah, they're basically just on a mission to get to their local pub and take refuge in there. Of course, one idea was go to Liz's house, get Liz, save his mum, have a nice cup of tea and wait for it to blow over. But then Ed thought perfect, meaning bad idea. And then he thought, okay, then we'll save Mum, go to Liz's and have a nice cup of tea and wait for it all to blow over. Then again, bad idea. So then they go to the Winchester and have a nice pint and wait for it all to blow over. And basically that's where they go, to their local pub. And basically that's how we'd handle it in Britain. If there's a zombie apocalypse, go to our local pubs, have a pint and wait for all this to blow over, or a nice cup of brew and wait for it all to blow over. Now, the cornetto that was in this, Sean got him a strawberry flavour cornetto. Now, here's another thing as well, the flavours of the cornettos, because like I said, Three Flavours Cornetto Trilogy. In Shaun of the Dead, it features a strawberry cornetto, which signifies the film's bloody and gory elements. Yeah, that's a fact. The strawberry cornetto, because it's red, was meant to represent the goriness and the blood splatter and that of the film. Each cornetto flavour in this represents something to do with the theme of the film. So yeah, Shaun of the Dead, pretty much they get control of the zombie apocalypse. It's like they make the zombies useful for like trolley pulling and that. Basically, it's a happy ending. Of course, Ed's a zombie, but he lives in the shed and that and stuff. Pretty much, the zombie apocalypse kind of saves Sean's relationship with his girlfriend Liz. Although his mother becomes infected and that, he's like happy and moving on in life. This also features cameos from other celebrities like Rafe Spall, very young Rafe Spall. In fact, probably an unknown Rafe Spall, Timothy Spall's son. Also, cameos from Jessica Stevenson, or Jessica Hines now, and Matt Lucas from Little Britain, and the guy from Sky News, and Vernon Kay, and that. So yeah, Shaun of the Dead 2004, which at the time was just a one-off comedy, horror. People were hoping for a sequel, but they kind of got a follow-up to it, which was Hot Fuzz, a 2007 comedy action thriller. Although it may not be a horror, it still has horror elements in there with the killer, killing people, and then there's turns out that there's more than one killer. They're a whole cult in the small village of Sanford. This starred Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, this time in new roles as Sergeant Nicholas Angel, Simon Pegg, and Nick Frost as PC Danny Butterman. The film also starred Jim Broadbent, Timothy Dalton, and other actors, including like Bill Bailey, Olivia Colman, and Rafe Spall as a detective and that. Yeah, there's quite a lot of Easter eggs in there, and it also has cameos from like Martin Freeman, and also Steve Coogan and Bill Nighy as well. Again, this joke features the Cornetto reference. This time, Nick Frost asking Simon Pegg's character, "What do you want for the shop?" And Simon Pegg as Nicholas Angel just goes, "Cornetto." And he gets it one. This time, the flavour of Cornetto they pick is the blue original chocolate and hazelnut flavour. And that one is supposed to signify the police elements of the film. Because, red and white and all that. So, yes, that's what that flavour Cornetto represents. It also has cameo from the guy who played Frank Gallagher in the UK version of Shameless, the original. And that. There's a series of murders going on, and the whole village seems to just be looking the other way, considering it an accident and not a murder. But then we find out that, like I've just said, there's more than one murderer. At first, Simon Pegg thinks it's Timothy Dalton's character, but then it turns out there's a big twist on it, that there's a whole, cult of these hooded villains that take laws and matters into their own hands. And just when we think that Danny is part of the group, we soon then see that he just lets Nick go and offers him to let him go and that. But of course he comes back and fights for the village, and even talks all the other coppers around and kills all the old people, the old villagers in the film that are leading the cult and stuff. This also has a cameo from Kate Blanchett as well, as a crime scene investigator around the beginning, playing Nicholas Angel's ex-girlfriend. There's so many Easter eggs and cameos in Hot Fuzz. Even one Easter egg where they're in the supermarket and Danny's looking at a DVD, then he quickly puts the DVD down and chases after the suspect. If you look very carefully, you will see a DVD of Shaun of the Dead. And that is an Easter egg right there. And also in Shaun of the Dead, as I forgot to mention, there's this fence scene where Shaun goes, "What's the matter? Never took a shortcut before," and he attempts to jump over the fence, but then it breaks. And in Hot Fuzz, he actually pulls it off. He jumps over the fence and stuff, and does a backflip around the garden and that, and chases after the kid. And Nick Frost tries it, Danny tries it, and he falls over and stuff, which is still funny and still staying true to the references in the Cornetto Trilogy and that. So yeah, Hot Fuzz, funny film. So many creative death scenes in there too, like the steeple part from the church landing on a man's head, disintegrated it and stuff, his head. And then the way the killers just sort of made the kills and what have you look like an accident. And their motives, some of their motives were quite stupid, there's also a cameo from Edward Woodward in this too. There's so much in here. There's a lot of stuff in this film. But what other kills were there? Kills and that I was going to say something else. Oh yeah, oh god, what was I going to say? I forgot now. Oh yeah, that's it. The way the old people in the village are taking matters into their own hands and stuff, all led by Timothy Dalton and Jim Broadbent's characters in this. The film starts off where Nicholas Angel has been given a transfer to Samford Village in the police station, where he is, ended up going there without choice, but he wants to stay in the big city and defend people and be a cop. Also, Simon Pegg, he manages to keep a straight face in this, serious throughout the film. Also, we get cameos from David Bradley. There's so many cameos in this, and so many Easter eggs in Hot Fuzz that you will miss the first time round you watch it. But I've seen it that many times. I managed to absorb all the process, all the elements that we might have missed. Also, there's YouTube where people actually point these out too, that I've seen them on and stuff. Again, directed by Edgar Wright and co-written by Simon Pegg and written by Edgar Wright. Yeah, here's another fact. Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright actually had cameos as extras in George A. Romero's Land of the Dead as zombies after George A. saw Shaun of the Dead, which he was a huge fan of. Anything else I need to mention before we move on to the next part of this discussion? No, I don't think so. So yes, Hot Fuzz. People said, "Oh, they're doing a sequel and that and stuff." Again, they did a follow-on to it. The next film. In 2011, I thought that the film Paul, with the voice of Seth Rogen as the titled character Paul the alien, I thought that was going to be the third and final installment of the trilogy because it had those two in it, but it wasn't. They didn't have any Cornetto references in that, no nothing, so that wasn't the third and final part of the Cornetto trilogy. The final part will come 2 years later. Installment was The World's End. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost were back in new roles again, as Simon Pegg was Gary King and Nick Frost was Andy Knightley. And this film co-starred quite a lot of others. It had Paddy Considine or something, I'm butchering the name, Martin Freeman, Eddie Marsden, Rosamount Pike, and also again had cameos from David Bradley. Yes, The World's End, basically it kind of goes back, because sometimes with a third installment in a trilogy, it always kind of goes back to like elements and references and stuff from the original, or like sort of whatever. This is an anthology trilogy, so they had to bring some kind of theme back from like Shaun of the Dead, and it was like the apocalyptic theme, because zombie apocalypse, alien apocalypse. So basically, also they stay true to like Hot Fuzz, I guess, with it being a village again. Basically, Gary King, Simon Pegg, wants to get all his mates back together to finish a pub crawl that they never completed in 1990. They had all these pubs to go to, and they were going to conclude at the World's End. And they never got to finish that till like 23 years later. Simon Pegg, who had not matured or out really, all his friends moved on, had their own lives. Basically, he wanted to go back to the village and do this pub crawl. They thought it was a bit pointless, but they were glad to see one another, and the next thing you know, it were like, first couple pubs were alright, but then it's like, the more they got into the evening, the more they made discoveries that the whole village were being invaded by robots, robot imposters and stuff. And also, it's like all they needed was a simple DNA sample to replicate a person. And that's what happened to basically all our main characters, except for Gary and Andy. They managed to survive and be human. And of course, the robots, the alien machine or some intelligence or whatever, were going to offer, them both like eternal youth forever. And he turned it down, and basically Simon Pegg's character Gary in this was just unreasonable, he was stubborn, all that stuff, and basically they just couldn't get talk to him. And even the aliens themselves said at the end what Nick Frost also said: it's pointless arguing with him, fuck it. So they do. And basically they leave the Earth, and at a cost they lose electricity and that. And basically they're in a post-apocalyptic world where they live without electricity, but they're dealing with it better than they did in the short-lived sci-fi thriller series Revolution. But yes, so that's what happened, and we had robots. The robots came back for some reason. They came back to life, but instead they decided to coexist with the humans this time. Another thing that happened was, with no electricity, no ice cream. So how was the Cornetto going to reference it? I was waiting the entire film to, for one of them to say, "What do you want from the shop?" and they say Cornetto, and they didn't. But towards the end, in the breeze, a Cornetto wrapper does go up, blow past Nick Frost while he's looking at a fence. It's a Cornetto wrapper with, that's a mint chocolate chip Cornetto, and that. Now, that was still a Cornetto reference. Doesn't have to be the physical ice cream or as long as it's one of the, a quote to one of the flavours. And it was the chocolate mint, the green mint chocolate chip Cornetto. Basic. And like I've explained throughout this discussion, each of the Cornetto flavours represent a theme of the film. So this one, the green, the mint chocolate, the colours was meant to represent green, was meant to signify little green men and science fiction elements. Again, this is sci-fi, but again, I told you it does have the elements of horror in there, but this one is definitely more science fiction than it does horror. But it's in there. It's in the Cornetto Trilogy, and it is the final instalment of that series and stuff. Little Green Men, I don't know if there were little green men in it, but again, I guess green little men and that, they just wanted to represent the science fiction elements to the films. So that's why they did that. Basically, the film ends when Gary is just still wanting to have a good time, and is now a lone ranger with the robot duplicates of his friends when they were young, and he destroyed the robot young version of himself. And then next thing you know, he's no longer an alcoholic. Well, he's not an alcoholic, he just likes to drink a lot. And now he's gone dry and drinking water. So yeah, The World's End. I don't think there's much more for me to say on this film, except... Oh, also, The World's End had cameos from Pierce Brosnan as well, who played one of their teachers when they were young. So yeah, the film, The World's End, it's a good film, and that they're all good films, and I think that's pretty much it for this horror talk discussion. So yeah, the Three Flavours Cornetto Trilogy. What's your favourite one in the series? I gotta say, Shaun of the Dead is still my favouriteest one in the series. I watch that film, I quote it so many times when I'm bantering with my friends and that and stuff. And yeah, my favourite flavour Cornetto is the strawberry one anyway. So yeah, let me know all that down below in the comments. And if you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up, share with your friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can stay notified every time. Also, my social media links, Facebook group The Random Horror Madhouse, my Instagram, my Twitter, all linked down below in the description. So be sure to, do all that and stuff, and I'll be sure to do it in return. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this horror talk. Probably be the one horror talk next month. So yeah, till next time, don't have nightmares.
those cornettos?
Where the hell have you been?
I don't know.
Oh, God, I don't bloody know.